today we're going to jump into the pool with an anime known as SSSS Dynazenon, which is a sequel / spiritual successor to SSSS Gridman, which is, an anime version of Gridman, which is a spin-off of Ultraman. And if you know anything about anything, you probably don't know about any of these. But this is the new hotness, so we're going to give it a little review, a little look over. We start off as a Studio Trigger anime, and I don't know if anybody's aware, but here at the Otaku Clubhouse, Studio Trigger is not on our good list.
What are you talking about? Trigger saving anime, bro.
They literally only had one good show, and it was the first show that they made after they became Studio Trigger.
And that's questionable at best. So, what happens in Dynazenon? I'm just going to refer to it because I hate doing the SSSS, the quadruple S, whatever we want to call it. What happens? We follow along our protagonist, our main character, Yomagi Asanaka. Little short, I guess you would just say he's Japanese, but he's a little brown, with a deep-ass voice, and he's walking around with his friends. They come across a homeless-looking man who looks like Viral from Gurren Lagann fused with Accelerator, and they have red hair, and they're homeless, right? He feels bad for him, so he gives him an uneaten sandwich, and the guy's like, "Oh, thank you so much. I pledge my fealty to you forever." He reveals that his name is... How do we pronounce that again?
Gama?
Yeah, I think it's Gama. He pronounces his loyalty to him, so whatever. Yomagi just continues along his day. Also talks with his friends. They talk about a rumor about a girl named Minami who apparently asks her classmates out on dates, and then she just stands them up, which is later confirmed when we switch to a scene with her and her friend. And they're doing some weird shit. I don't know what high school girls do. She's like, "Yeah, I just, I went on another date with somebody where I didn't show up." Our two main characters run into each other, and, our character, our protagonist is he's a bit of a Chad, so he asks her out on a date, and she says yes. Fast forward, he's waiting for her in the rain. She doesn't show up. Then Gama shows up, and he's like, you know you're being a cuck, right? he goes out to look for her, catches her, calls her out. Yomagi catches up to them. They're on a bridge now at this point. And she's like, well, the reason why I keep doing that is something seriously messed up with me. And as soon as she says that, then guess what? A giant fucking kaiju shows up. Mechagodzilla shows up and starts wreaking havoc on the city. So things are looking a little dire. Guama, who says that he's a monster tamer, is like, "I'll handle this." He can't, but then he pulls out a toy out of his backpack, which turns into a mecha, and they get sucked in. There's also been like a C plot or a B plot where this weirdo is in his dirty ass hikikomori room with all the trash piled up with this little loli who looks like a loli version of Maki Ito. And they're out on a walk. They also get caught up in this, except the girl gets away, but the dirty looking slacker guy who she keeps calling senpai gets pulled in. So now you have Gama, Yomagi, Minami, and the bum, senpai. They're inside of what turns out to be Dynazenon. And they're piling it in, just like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would. It's a mecha. They start fighting against the kaiju, and then they transform. Which is funny. It's like a humanoid mecha, and then it transforms into like a dragon or a dinosaur. Which, Mina Kaiser thought that was like kind of backwards, but maybe the gimmick is that it just has a bunch of different forms. And they manage to defeat the monster, causing billions of dollars worth of property damage, collateral, but that's no problem. And so the episode ends after they defeat the kaiju, but there's still questions lingering in the back of your throat, like, what the fuck, why did that happen? Are we connected now? And what exactly did Minami mean by she's not like other girls? Is she Nia Jax?
Oh, God, you beat me to it. But My first question was, why is everybody just okay with the fact that buildings and cars are just floating up in the sky? I mean, I would be trying to leave the city the instant something like that started happening.
So that apparently that was happening, but everybody was just like treating it like a nothing. So it must have been happening for a while. This is prior to the kaiju showing up. So it must have been like this for a while to the point where it's like normalized.
The thing that I didn't like about it was it felt like it was going like a little bit too fast. How the monster shows up, the guy, the homeless dude he's just there like, oh, I'm a monster tamer and I'm gonna suck everybody in to fight this monster. And I just thought that was kind of corny. Didn't really build up the conflict or anything, or the monster lurking around. Yeah, sure, you had the things floating, but that didn't really set up for monster alien to show up.
It didn't really allude to anything, and ultimately it didn't really mean anything in the end, because it's not like the monster had gravity powers or something. Maybe that's something coming later. Don't know.
I agree with you that the monster just showing up out of nowhere, having no sort of resolution, that is a misstep, but I would say the rest of the pacing is it's pretty typical of Tokusatsu. Like, we watch Sentai all the time, and I know Akuma watched Ultraman. I watched one season of Ultraman, and that is pretty typical that some weirdo just shows up and is like, here kid, you gotta be the hero now, and all of a sudden you're fighting. Especially for a first episode. You wouldn't want it to be the other way around where they take too long.
Well, yeah, you don't want there to be like 7 episodes and then they finally get into the fucking robot.
Right.
But I do agree with Hawkeiser in the fact that the pacing felt weird, but I honestly think that that's less to do with the way that the story's paced and more to do with the fact that it seems that this director is back on his same shit from the last series, where I guess he must really have liked Evangelion at one point, because he just over and over again just scenes where the characters are talking and the camera's just off looking at the background or looking at the sky or looking at the ground, and it ultimately means nothing. There's no greater context that you can gain for those camera angles. You're not showing a character in a different light simply by showing another portion of the school. What you're doing is you're looking at a different landscape and probably saving a couple of dollars, let's be honest.
Yeah, I think a good example of that was like near the beginning where Yamagi was talking with his friends about Minami. They were talking about how she would stand people up, and there was one of their classmates who ended up killing himself because he was bullied after this happened. And I'm like, is that going to be relevant? Is that a Chekhov's gun? Or is it... Because if you've seen SSS Gridman, I know people generally seem to like it. On my anime list, it has a generally high rating, but critically, like, I hated that show. I hated that show for so many reasons.
Well, one of those reasons was one that we had brought up before, and it's the fact that the main character from Quadruple S Gridman, everyone, without looking it up, what is the main character's name from Gridman?
Yamatoshi.
It's Toma, Takahashi.
His name is Hibiki Yuta.
Oh yeah, of course it's Yuta.
But anyway, one of the few things that we all said, all of us, was the fact that he was probably the worst part of the series. Because he had zero personality, zero agency, he didn't matter. At least with Yomogi, he feels like he might matter at some point. He feels like he has some type of personality, yes. But he doesn't exactly react to things in, I wouldn't say a believable way. He kind of comes off seeming like he's like, I really don't want to deal with this shit, mostly involving Goma.
To the show's credit, Yamagi does have more personality than Yuta, by far. Minami has more personality than Rika. Goma has more personality than
most definitely.
Well, yeah. Well, Rika's entire personality was her thighs. Like, let's be honest. And there's already a character that fills that portion of the show.
Yes, but there's no...
I thought you weren't going to mention her. We don't even... She's not even in the first episode.
I didn't say I wasn't.
She's not in the first episode. You might be looking at the thumbnail if it's still the same as the last time I saw it. And you're like, who the fuck is that? I don't know either. Akuma doesn't even know. You just see her in the Google images.
Right. Look, I looked up this anime, and This should really go to speak for what this anime is going to be known for, because let's fucking be honest, this is what it's going to be known for in a couple of years. Nobody's going to remember the deeply woven plot of Yomogi trying to sniff the nape of the neck of Yume through a fucking robot. People are going to care about this fucking character, fucking pants that are so tight that it looks like her thighs are about to explode like a fucking piece of fucking squeeze bread out of a can.
So what did you think of the characters' designs, since we're on that? Yomogi is particularly confusing because he's like little short. He has a feminine face and he's wearing a hairband, but he has the deepest fucking voice you would not expect from a character like this.
Yeah. I feel like his voice should have been like way lighter. Like he's way too deep.
My name is Yomogi. I'm a first year in high school.
And it's not that that character can't even do that, because it's also, the voice actor is also the dog guy, I forget his name, from Beastars.
Oh, Jack. Yeah, so he's capable of doing it, but they must have directed him to be deeper.
He's also Itadori.
Yeah, okay. Well, confusing.
I don't know why they just decided to give him like the deepest voice possible, but whatever. Who the fuck dressed Gamma? What is wrong, bruh?
Man, dressed like a 7-year-old and you let him go in the Party City? You let him go wild?
A Party City attendant? Yume is plain. I think she's meant to be plain. I'm surprised that they didn't give her the fucking thighs.
Right.
I don't know. Koyumi, who is the fucking NEET, has the fucking NEET syndrome, so there's very little to talk about with him. He looks like an unwashed Kazuma.
What did you think of Chise?
From Konosuba.
Chise being the lowly monkey Ito girl. Elephant in the room.
Hawk, how did you feel?
How did I feel? Really, nigga? I have no opinion. That's all you, my nigga.
I meant about the entire thing.
Shut your bitch ass up. I thought it was... Well, in terms of character designs, I'm not impressed. They look like modern Trigger designs, and if you don't know what that is, you should look at any show after Kill la Kill where they have this sort of wackiness to them, but it's like wackiness with no style, you know?
Kind of like Kiss Kniver.
Bro, I was just trying to remember the name of that.
Yeah,
I was
Kiss
like, what was the
Kniver,
anime
like,
where they all share pain and stuff, and it's supposed to be... who cares? It sucked.
Like, I don't know, I think just somebody at Trigger just fucking started doing bath salts or something, and they never came back. They went on a bad trip or something. I don't know.
No, what actually happened is somebody at Gynax started doing bath salts, and they split off and made Trigger.
Well, see, the thing is, Kill la Kill was actually, you know, I really liked it. I thought
it was
super
light.
cool. It has cool character design.
Well liked.
I thought it was good. I still think it's good. Sasuke is the best girl. But I digress. The character designs just don't appeal to me. They look like character creations of like Soul Calibur or something, you know? Look like something that some kid just threw together in like 10 seconds. Which is wild because Gridman had, you know, decent character or non-offensive.
No, remember the best friend character he has glasses and he's fat? That's the whole thing?
Yes.
I think it had characters you wanted to fuck, and by you I mean me too, like Rika and Akane.
I mean, the only character that came out of Gridman, and this is just gonna really be us continuing to down Gridman, so if you don't like it, too bad. The only character that came out of Gridman with any type of personality aside from Akane was Auntie.
Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate because the only two characters that are ever going to be remembered from Gridman are Akane and Rika, and that's only because there's going to be porn of them made for forever, because that's all that they were, unfortunately. And that's kind of what I feel like this series is going to end up being. That's really what I feel like what Trigger is going to end up being. It appeals to a lot of the fucking Coomers out there, especially with the character that we were literally talking about before, who is the fucking thigh woman. That's all people are going to end up remembering that for. That's all people are going to remember most of Trigger stuff for. It's unfortunate because the animation style is not for me. But the animation is at least fluid. And I don't think anyone's going to say that that's not
the visuals and animation, really, the sound design, even the direction during the action sequences, not during the downtime, like we mentioned before, it's all obviously very good, and it's obviously a studio that's been working on their craft for a long time, and who actually have budget, and don't play off their low budget as a joke. But, yeah.
I'll leave it at one last thing, though. I kind of want to just get, like, this is the last piece. Hawk, I really want to know, what is your feeling on the mecha fight scene that was in this? Because you're kind of, like, the mecha guy. What did you think?
Like Felix mentioned before, when we were watching it, I thought it was really odd how they went from starting out the fight as the robot and then finishing the fight as the dinosaur or the dragon, whatever it turned into. When in mecha and like tokusatsu, like Super Sentai, Power Rangers, you start out as the animal, and then you combine or you transform into the humanoid form, which is supposed to be stronger, and then you finish the fight with like a special move, which that doesn't bother me too much, aside from the fact that it's non-traditional. The actual fight choreography itself was fine, I guess. It just
Good
had some really
CG.
really weird uses of CG where it would be 2D. The model for the monster and for the Dynazenon would be 2D, and then it would switch to 3D and back and forth like that. But it's not like super jarring like in the Resurrection of F movie.
That's also how they animated the fights in Gridman, if you remember.
I don't remember. But non-standard finisher, but the fight itself seems just pretty standard for that type of kaiju versus robot fight.
Yeah, I think the design of Dynazenon itself is pretty okay. It's very Showa era. And then the design of Dynadragon is pretty much a Zord or a Zoid, if you will. But it works. Kaiju I could live without.
Alright, well, let's get our ratings in, boys.
Alright, I'm gonna optimistically give this a swim. Because, I was coming at here with a very low bar. The name of that bar is SSSS Gridman. SSSS Gridman. And this managed to, overcome that bar. Therefore, I'm going to be a little bit, biased here. Say it exceeded my expectations. So, I think I like it. That's all I can say.
I am going to give this a float. And it's not just because of the fucking milky thighs, because those could probably float too. I don't have a lot of faith in Trigger's output as of late. I know everybody drools over Space Patrol Luluco and Little Witch Academia and Inferno Cop. I disliked all of those, couldn't get into any of those, and despite the fact that the animation may look nice, you can't just look at a well-animated thing over and over again and think, man, this is great. You want to know why the fights in Black Clover were so good? Because they were built up to. You can't just have great fights for everything and think that that makes a good series. That's really about all I can say. But maybe I'll keep coming back for those milky thighs, who knows?
Okay. For me, I'm gonna have to say it's barely a fucking treading water, bro. It's damn near drowning. I'm not interested, bro. I think Trigger is really surviving off of goodwill. And this is coming from somebody who likes Gurren Lagann. I like robot shows. I like Gurren Lagann. I don't think it's the best show of all time. It's a good show. Good modern era super robot show. I say that, but it's like 12 years old. Right? But they have not made a fire show since that. Well, the people who worked on Gurren Lagann, who are now in Trigger. Kill la Kill was the only show that was worth a damn. Right? And I'm seeing the same traps that they've been falling into with Darling in the Franxx and fucking the last series, SSSS Gridman. It does not look like a show that's going to stand on its own as a good show. It's going to be riding off the fact that it's a Trigger show and the fact that it's, I like robots. Huh? Don't you like robots? I think that the girl who was tricking dudes in the fucking showing up to dates and then crying about it. Like, come on now. I think that's gonna be an annoying plot line. I can already see it now. It's gonna be an annoying plot line that serves no purpose other than to create some forced fucking drama. Fuck off. I'm changing my stance. It's a fucking drown, dude. I don't want to watch it. Fuck Trigger. If you are a Trigger fanboy in 2021, you gotta go. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. I'm done.
He thought about it a little and jumped down 2 slots.
He talked himself out of it. I mean, can't stop.
Damn, what a fucking.
All right.
What a fucking. Oh, okay. Well. Oh, okay. I think that's it. So, what do you guys think? Leave a comment. Subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see you guys in the next video.